All right. Hello and welcome to the Seven Figure Agency Podcast. Today, I'm really excited. We're joined by the legend, Joel Erway, commonly recognized as the webinar guy, the webinar agency guy, but he's doing some really innovative things with AI and kind of how you can leverage AI to create better copy for yourself and your clients. I'm sure we're going to get into all of it, but if you're excited and you're watching this, hit the like button, drop a comment. And Joel, thanks so much for being here.
Josh, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me on, and I'm here to be share just a little bit of wisdom if I possibly can. So I'm pumped.
So good. So I always like to start, kind of give us some context about you, your journey, kind of how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, back in 2014, I decided to jump into the world of entrepreneurship. Had no idea what I was going to do. My background is actually in engineering. I went to school for mechanical engineering. Uh, Graduated in 2009 out of a college here in a university in Rochester, New York, and quickly realized after I got my first job that engineering was not for me, even though I did very well in school. I was like, man, this is just not my path. So I quickly transitioned into sales. So selling to the people that I was working with in the first 8 months of my career. Um, Loved sales, loved everything about it. I was selling commercial heating and cooling equipment for to local contractors and local engineers in my market.
Okay.
Learned a lot and started to dip my toe in the water with like basic online marketing. I'm not even talking about like social media. I'm talking about, I read the 4 Hour Work Week and got introduced to the world of email newsletters. So like all of my clients were, local contractors. And so, I launched an email newsletter to my like list of 100 clients or 100 customers. And that's what I started to really fall in love with the world of like online. So did very, very well there. Decided I was going to go out and do my own thing and write a book, publish a book. That quickly turned into, okay, I can't make any money just selling a book, so I need to have a coaching program. That transitioned into how do I sell it? I ended up joining Russell Brunson's first like inner circle mastermind back in like 2015 as he launched ClickFunnels. That introduced me to the world of webinars. And I had been doing sales presentations for 5 or 6 years prior in my commercial HVAC days. And Russell was telling everybody, he's still telling everybody to do webinars to this day, but most people are terrible at them. And so I had a knack, I knew how to do them. I did them very well for myself. I launched my own webinar for my coaching program that did very well. And I started to get this reputation for helping other people craft their webinars. So in 2015, I decided to pivot away from engineering education to helping other people with webinars, and that was the dawn. That was the birth of the webinar agency. And so here we are in 2025. Been running for 10 years strong. Have helped tens of thousands of customers, and have been running that agency ever since. And so it's gone through a lot of evolutions. It's gone through a lot of changes, but that is kind of how it all began. So I'll pause. I don't know if there's any questions, but like that's the nitty gritty early story of the agency days.
That it's interesting. I didn't realize the commercial heating and cooling background being, you're in, like out of that space now, but we run an agency in the
Yeah,
HVAC world. I think that's a cool tie-in. I saw some shout outs from the ClickFunnels community about how amazing you've been with webinars. What's really interesting is this transition from engineering, which you wouldn't think sales and copywriting and scripting for webinars, how that would play together. But it's amazing how you become the world's best at webinars with that engineering background.
yeah. It was not natural. It really wasn't because I enjoyed engineering when I was in school. Like I did very well in college. I enjoyed that whole process. It was very challenging. But when I got into the real world, it was very dull. My brain is hyperactive, and I was sitting behind a computer screen drawing in CAD all day, and it was just too, it was just not for me. And so I transitioned out and loved sales, loved the fast-paced environment, loved every day being different, loved setting my own schedule, loved hunting down deals, loved the chase, loved the pursuit. And so yeah, it I've always had a fascination with writing as well. I've always been skilled with writing. And so as you start to get exposed to all of it and direct response and trying to put all the pieces together, it was kind of natural. And so, yeah, it's fascinating story. Whenever you look back on your own origin story, usually you're in awe with how crazy it went because it's never a straight line path. But that's my story, and I think everyone should own their story. It was fun.
No, no doubt. So, obviously, you've transitioned. You're doing a lot of amazing stuff with webinars, but you've done a lot now with AI and kind of embracing AI as an agency owner, as a thought leader in the agency space. I would love to just kind of hear your thoughts on how you're thinking about AI and how you're leveraging it in your agency.
Yeah. So this is a great kind of like pivot as to where we've gone with our business and our technology here today. When AI came out, when ChatGPT really hit the mainstream in, I think it was 2023 or maybe 2022, it opened the world, everyone's eyes to like what's possible, especially with copywriting, and it really helped bridge the gap with a lot of people who write their own copy, do it a lot better. And so now, like with AI, there's always an opportunity and a gap. So anyone can go into ChatGPT, and I highly recommend everyone use those tools because they will only help you. But now, where we're at today is, how do we, how can we package ways to make AI work for us in a much better way? One of the things that I was doing with AI was I was creating my own swipe file, right? And as marketers, we know what a swipe file is. It's just a collection of like your favorite ads or landing pages or sales pages, and you use it as inspiration. And so what I was doing was I'd curate a swipe file every single day. It's like, oh, that ad looks awesome. Like I click save. That landing page looks awesome. I click save, put it on my desktop, and put it somewhere that hopefully I would reference in the future. Well, 99 times out of 100, those files would just die in the ether somewhere on my hard drive, or I would lose track of like where they went. And so I was working with a buddy of mine who ended up being a co-founder of our software called Inspired, and I was telling him what I was doing with ChatGPT is I would take these swipe files, and when I would reuse them, I would take the ad copy and I would plug in some prompts with ChatGPT, and I would get it to rewrite an ad in that framework for my voice and for my product. And so it was a use case that was predictable and repeatable. It's like, this is what I would do. I'd plug it in here. I'd give it this prompt, et cetera, et cetera. And I was talking to my buddy who's launched, successful software companies in the past. I said, is there any way that we could like turn this into a tool? And he's like, I've got the perfect idea. He's like, why don't we know what we can do is we can do a two-part tool, which is number one, let's have a Chrome extension that now allows you to effortlessly curate and organize a swipe file that you never have to lose track of again. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then the second part is at the push of a button, we can clone that ad or landing page to your product or your brand voice, so it follows the same framework that you like and tells a unique story, unique angle, for your product or service at the push of a button. And I'm like, let's do it. And so that was the kind of genesis of our app called Inspired. And it's a Chrome extension now that follows you on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So for any piece of organic content or any piece of ad, any ad that you follow and you like and you enjoy, you can one click clip and save that ad or that post. It goes into your swipe file, and with another click, you can clone it and rewrite an entirely unique version in your voice. So as an ad agency, we still run an ad agency right now. Now I can have my administrative assistant whip out 5 new unique ads in less than 10 seconds, and we can test that very, very quickly. It streamlines everything on the agency side. So now my ads manager can streamline the entire process. He can launch new ads much faster. He can manage those campaigns in a much more effective way instead of relying on our copywriters to come up with a new angle. And so our copywriters still use it, but everybody on the team now can come up with unique creative, and it streamlines the entire process. So it's super awesome, and there's so much other stuff that it can do, but like from a very high level standpoint, that's like the core functionality of drawing inspiration and using AI to quickly turn that inspiration into a version of your own.
So good. So we all know about the swipe file. We all know about the swipe file that never gets accessed. It sounds like you've come up with a mechanism to capture that in an intelligent way, also sync it up with AI. It's called Inspired. Like, where would somebody learn more, like to kind of access it and check it out?
Yeah, so they can check out a demo on our website, which is GetInspired.app, and so they can see all about it. Get a free trial, use it. There's no limit to how much they can use when they download it, but we're super jazzed about it, and it's been taken off like wildfire. So very exciting for anyone who runs an agency, runs an ad agency. It streamlines their process and really helps you draw inspiration at will.
So good. Would it be possible for you to kind of walk us through a use case example, or maybe even show us a use case example?
For sure. Yeah, I would love
Okay,
to.
that'd be
So
amazing.
yeah, I'll share my screen real quick and
So
all
good.
right, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So if you're on Facebook, so this works with, I'm just going to minimize these right here. So if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, this process will be the same. So once you install the browser extension up here, you'll see this little clip icon that pops up on every single post or ad.
Mm.
So organic posts right here, paid marketing posts right here, and let's just do a demo real quick and we will, clip this ad right here. So maybe, you are scrolling and you really like this ad from Wealthfront or whatever. It's like, oh man, I wonder what this would sound like in my voice. Well, or maybe you just want to save it because you like the creative and you want to just put it in your swipe file. All you need to do is come over here, click the clip icon. Oh, it's going to ask me to log in. Okay. And let's go ahead and just connect it. There we go. And let's just click refresh. All right, so let's try that again. So we come over here and let's say we've got this new image medical ad. We come over here, click clip, and it's going to open up a little drawer on the side and it's going to say, okay, where do you want to save it? So you have categories over here. And a category is just a bucket. So if you create a bucket, you can edit these buckets. This is for organizational purposes. So I'm going to go over here and just say, hey, this is an inspiring ad. So I'm going to save it in my inspiration bucket. Then I come down here, I click clip it. It's going to do its thing. And in less than a second and a half, confetti will rain down from the sky and it'll tell you success. We've saved it. So you can either go back to doing what you were doing. If you want to just save it for later, that's awesome. It's saved in your swipe file. Or if you want to go straight to Inspired, you can click here and it will take you to your swipe file. You can see it's saved here right now. So now you've got this saved in your file permanently, so you
So
can
good.
reference it
So just
over.
that in and of itself, like having a place to organize, create it, because we all see, wow, that's a great ad. And maybe we screenshot it, it sits on the phone somewhere. But it's just a beautiful, even that piece in and of itself is powerful.
Exactly, exactly. And that was one of the things that I was really pumped about when we started building this out. It's like, wow, I've got all these ads now that are just organized. I can save it and reference it, over and over and over again. So now you can see I've got all my swipe files, organic, paid, they're saved in one central location right here. So if I ever wanted to reference them again, I've got them right here. I can organize them by the source type. So if it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or even screenshots, I can organize them right here and click and sort. It automatically sorts them by the content type, whether it's an ad or an organic piece of content. And then we have our buckets right here that I was saving earlier. So that's the first thing. Now, let's say I want to rewrite that ad in my own voice. So let's take a look at this one. It says maximize your testosterone levels without the hassle of injections, lines, or discomfort, all from the comfort of your home. Okay, so I mean, who knows? Maybe, this is a medical ad, so I have no idea what this would sound like in my
Good,
own
better,
phone.
and
But
different.
yeah, so let's like go off the wall and take a completely irrelevant ad and just see what it sounds like in my own product. So I'm going to go over here and click clone with AI. I'm going to select one of my products. So I've got a million products in here, and this is I'll demo this in just a second. But I'm going to click the paid workshop blueprint, which is one of my products that I sell. I'm like, I wonder what this format would sound like in my voice here. So I'm going to click create it. It's going to clone my content and give it about 5 to 7 seconds. We'll go pull it up. But let's click a handful of other ones. So here is a YouTube ad that I clipped, and this is someone promoting probably some make money online training. Forget Harvard. You can still manage other people's capital without an Ivy League degree. Okay, cool. Well, I want to write a YouTube script. So I'm going to go ahead and click Clone with AI, click the paid workshop blueprint. I'm going to click Create it. We're going to give it a couple of seconds and see what happens. So let's go over here now. And to find that content, I'm going to go over to cloned content. And here it is. So this is the rewritten version of that new image medical ad in that framework. So on the left, I've got the original ad right here. And on the right, I've got the new framework that my new ad that models this framework. So here's what it says, right? Maximize your testosterone levels without the hassle of injections, lines, or discomfort. Here it is. Land high ticket clients without the hassle of sales calls, pitches, or awkward follow-ups, all from your simple paid workshop. A treatment with enclomiphene can help raise your testosterone levels from 1.5 to 2.5. A proven workshop system can increase your client conversion rate from 1x to 3x, right?
Wow.
And so, like, you see the power of of what it's meant to do, right? It's not copying it; it's just taking the framework and understanding your unique benefits and rewriting everything based on unique market research that AI is doing. And now, like, we can create ads after ads after ads after ads and create unique angles, unique styles. Like, this is what AI is turning into in the future. It's like, sure, go use Claude, go use ChatGPT and do this all manually. But where it's really going to start to AI is really going to start to transform is with these tools that are built with that in the background. And now we've got the interface to really enhance our experience and make it so much more streamlined.
I love it. So yeah, it literally found like the how to get yay without boo framework, translated it from a medical testosterone, enhancement strategy to what you do with your, with your program. Where do you give it that context? I know it's in the
Yes.
setup process, but
super, super simple. Okay. So what we need to do is we just have to create a product. Okay. So I have my paid workshop blueprint, which is down here. And if we click add product, you'll see that we don't need to give it much information at all. So I'm going to say Josh Nelson demo, right? And this doesn't go into AI. This is just for reference only. So I'm going to create a new product called the demo. And it's all we need to do now is at bare minimum, give it one sentence of who do you help? What promise are you making to them when they buy? And what is the secret sauce or unique part of what you offer? Now, to be clear, this version of Inspired is really specific for advertisers. Like this will work for organic content as well, but when you create organic content, you need to give a little bit more context than just what product are you promoting? Because with organic content, you need origin story, you need your beliefs, and a lot more information. So that will be coming in the very, very near future. It's just a little bit of a different workflow. So I want you to only really think about this in the context of ads because it'll make a lot more sense. So if I've got a product or a service or a promotion that I'm working on, I just give it I give it the basic information. Who do you help? What promises are you making to them when they buy? And what's the secret sauce or unique part of what you offer? So we have a pre-written one down here, which was for my power offer workshop, which is I help coaches get 10 clients or more per week with proven sales copy, lead generation scripts, ads, and consultation scripts. And if we give it just that one sentence, AI will now be able to go and do full-blown market research on what your target avatar is, who it is, what their desires are, what their pains are, what their aspirations are, what have they tried and failed, and all of that goes into now modeling the swipe copy ad. So I can give it any type of ad format, and it will create unique content based on this description. Does that make sense?
yeah, super good. Is there a limit like to how much context you can give it here?
Yes, great question. So if this is what I'll tell people, if you have a sales page written, just copy and paste the sales page right here. So you can give it as much context as you want, but if you give it just the bare minimum of who you help, what promise are you making to them when they buy, and what's the secret sauce or unique part about what you offer, you will get to 90 to 95% completion rate right there. AI will be able to do so much with just that. If you've got a full-blown sales page, absolutely. Just copy and paste it, throw it in right there. We are going to have a URL import here shortly where you can just throw your URL in there and AI will go scrape it and do this automatically. But yeah, the more context you give it, obviously the better. But the minimum you need to do is just give it this.
So good. And then another question here, just like I don't want to break your flow, but
Yeah, no worries.
the underlying language model underneath this is Chat is OpenAI, or what are we?
Yep. So right now we're working with Claude.
Okay, Claude.
We will have the opportunity to have you like select which model you want to use.
Okay.
But we're just using Claude right now. We found the best success with Claude. But with, I mean, AI is moving so darn fast. With it was funny, like a while ago, OpenAI O1 came out, and 9 days later, O3 came out, right? And so it's like we haven't even tested those yet because like Claude works so good, and it's
Hmm.
very, very, it allows us to do what we do without charging exorbitant fees. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, there are going to be tons of models coming out, so we will allow other models to be used as well.
Super good.
So a couple other things I wanted to share real quick that Inspired does, and this is great for marketers and ad agencies along the lines of swipe files. So if you clip an ad on, say, Facebook or any platform, Inspired will know that there's a destination page. Like that's what an ad
Mm.
is. It drives to a destination page. So what we can do, or what automatically happens in the background, is it starts clipping the landing pages
Oh,
automatically
wow.
as well.
That's great.
So now we can, like, this is the new Image Medical. Fingers crossed this. Yep, there it is. Awesome. So it came through.
Sweet.
Perfect. So now we've got the entire screenshot of the landing page.
Wow.
And the next, one of the upcoming features is we are going to be able to use AI to scan this copy, because what I was doing in the past with recreating landing pages is what I would do is I would copy a headline, plug it into ChatGPT, plug in my ideal avatar, and like if I really like the headline, I'm like, hey, create a new headline, similar to this, right? And so I would do the same process that I was doing with the ads, but I would do it for the headline, the sub headline, right? Any relevant copy that was on the landing page, and I would just rewrite it so I would have the framework and the flow. So we are going to be able to do that with Inspired, and I'll show you exactly like the technology that's allowing us to do that. So one of the other things that we can do, like let's say I go to clickfunnels.com, right? And I click on this, this extension. I can either take a full page screenshot and we'll scroll the entire page and do what we just shared with you, or I can take a screenshot right here, snap it. It opens up another tab, asks me where I want to save it. I'll just put it back in Inspiration. I'll click save, and it's going to work in the background of not only just saving this image, but it's going to extract any copy that is on this image so I can clone it and go through the same process. So if I like a headline, or if I like, the way that a story is written on a sales page, I can go through the exact same process of what was happening inside of the swipe file. So I come over here,
Wow.
here it is. I click see more. Look at this. It's extracted the text. Start for free today. Enter your email address. Get started. Right. So it's extracting the email text, or extracting the landing page text, and I can click clone with AI and do the exact same process. So
So
um,
good.
that's the manual side. But when we build this a little bit more, it will automatically be able to do this for any landing pages or any full page screenshots that you save. Some other features. If you are an agency owner, we have agency platform built in, so you can have sub accounts. You can manage your clients in here and keep it all well and organized. But yeah, Josh, we are so pumped about this and the future of what we're building. I'm just very, 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 very excited, because this was what I was doing manually, of like cloning copy and saving swipe files, and being able to shortcut that workflow was super, super beneficial, and we're very excited about it.
Amazing. I love how you've taken the swipe file concept, the framework for copywriting, and combined AI into one platform where you can really just find great examples, leverage those examples, and test. Because it's like anything else with advertising, you might think it looks amazing and test it and find it doesn't perform as well. But it's about the testing really that gives you the answers to what your customers are going to respond to best.
Exactly. I mean, you and I both know that, the secret to advertising is getting as much out there as possible, like testing quickly, testing cheaply. I mean, for us, that's the secret to like just validating an offer and also scaling. It's like once you're trying to scale something, it's like you got to keep creating more and more and more. And it's like this allows you to really um, expand your creativity by not needing to reinvent the wheel, every every week 100 times over. So yeah, we're pumped about it.
Love it. So it's GetInspired.app.
Yes.
That's where you can go sign up for a free trial to check it out.
Correct. Yep. If they go to GetInspired.app, they'll see a page like this. They can sign up for a 14-day free
Got it.
trial. We have a starter plan and an agency plan. But like I said, there's no payment to use it. Use it till your heart's content. Love it. Cancel. It's up to you. But yeah, 14-day free trial. Install the browser extension and clip away, as we say.
So good. And the agency plan gives you the ability to, for each of your clients, be able to put their product in there and like just keep it organized much more tight for those
Yes.
clients that you serve.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. It's organization. It's keeping your client stuff, separate. So you have all of their files, in one central location. And so you can sort and click through all of the different clients that you've got. 100%.
So good. Love you sharing this and kind of walking us through how you built it, why you built it, and a great resource, that our community can plug into. Anything else you want to share on Get Inspired?
No, I mean the main, some of the cool things that I use it for is I guess one of the other like main value adds is YouTube. Like I don't know if any of your students, your clients use YouTube ads, but it was really
Mm-hmm.
difficult for us to build our own swipe file of YouTube ads. And with Inspired, it's super simple because not only does it save the video so you can go and reference it whenever, because usually those URLs are hidden, they're difficult to go find. Like if you save an ad, you can't even skip around. Well, now what we do is we save it and it automatically transcribes it. So you've got that script that you can reuse at the push of a button. And if you ever want to watch it again, we save the URL so you can go click on that. It takes you right to YouTube and you can watch the entire thing. You can skip around and you can scroll through. Just from a functionality standpoint, like that's super, super valuable for anyone who runs YouTube ads or anyone who needs to write new scripts for YouTube ads because now you can do it at the push of a button. So I'd say that's like kind of a hidden feature that like we probably could have created a whole separate product on it just for YouTube ads. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's that's one of my other favorite features for sure.
So good. So good. Love it. I would be remiss if I had you on and we didn't talk a little bit about webinars. Can we talk a little bit about
Of
webinars while
course.
we have you?
Yeah, of
So
course.
most of our listeners run niche agencies. So they're working with the plumbing company, dentist, roofer, chiropractor, right? And one of the key strategies we say is like every month you should do a education based webinar, right? It's like
Yep.
how to set up your website for conversion or how to tap into the power of local service ads or whatever the topic is. And for the most part, it's send some emails, do some social posts, get people to come on live, add value, right? And a very subtle at the end. Hey, if you want some help with this, click here to schedule a time to talk, right? And then of course we've got the recording that we can send out and syndicate, and all of the content that comes along with that. Curious if you have any thoughts on how you could plus one that approach, or maybe have a more conversion centric focus for those types of workshops.
Yeah, I've got a couple of really quick wins that anyone listening, no matter what niche you are in, um, when it comes to webinars, my style has really evolved over the years when I learned internet marketing style webinars, perfect webinars, like you name it. Like
Right.
I was doing sales presentations before I learned any sort of framework. And
Mm.
so the number one thing, the number one mistake that I see people make, especially if they are non-seasoned like salespeople or marketers and like they're trying to get themselves out there and increase conversions, is they try and pigeonhole themselves in some sort of style or framework in which they present, which
Mm.
that's fine. Like everyone will benefit from having some sort of guide or framework to go through. But where I see them make a mistake is they stick to it much too closely. And so a lot of people will say, a lot of frameworks will say it's like give value, teach the three secrets or whatever your content piece is, and at the end make a pitch.
Mm.
And if you are not a naturally gifted salesperson or marketer, that can be a struggle for you. Not even just the pitch, but making sure that you're presenting in a way that inspires, that motivates, that builds intrigue, that builds desire. Because make no mistake, like that really does need to happen. And so what I say is if you want to increase conversions, make it very clear what your end goal is and do it in just a non abrasive way. So anytime that I give a webinar of my own or a workshop or any sort of like event, I make it very clear what my end goal objective is. And I do that a couple of times before the end because what we don't want to have happen is we don't want to force everybody to consume every piece of content that you put out in terms of your webinar and only see the pitch at the end because you're missing out on a huge chunk of people that are ready to convert. Okay.
Mm,
And those people who are ready to convert just need to be told what to do next. Like,
mm,
what are we offering and what should I do if I'm interested? Because the logic that's happening is people who are in pain right now or in motivation to solve some sort of, to get a solution right now, it's not a linear buying sequence. They're motivated and they're interested, but they're just wondering what that next step is. And so if we put that offer or that next step immediately after they register for the upcoming webinar, like on the thank you
mm.
page, there's the
Yeah.
first time that we can present it. So that's just one thing, right?
Yep.
So put it on the thank you page and say, hey, that's awesome. See you on Thursday at 12 o'clock. We're going to talk about all these things, right? But before you go, here's what's going to happen at the end, right? So I'm working with a select number of people, yada, yada, yada.
Mm,
And if you're interested, this is what I want you to do next. So you can do one of two options. You can book a call with me right now, or, you can show up live with me on Thursday. I'll talk about all this stuff, and then we can book a call then as well.
mm.
So I'll put it right on the thank you page.
Love
Then
that.
I'll also talk about it right at the start of the webinar. So I'll say, hey, we're going to get started, yada, yada, yada. Also, all of you saw the fact that, I'm working with a select number of clients or whatever my offer is. So here's the call to action. Here's what I want you to do if you're interested. And if not, that's fine. I'm going to go through all of the free training content that we're doing right now, and you're still going to learn a ton of stuff. So just make it
Mm,
logical for people to understand what the end goal is and giving them multiple opportunities to take action. Because what happens when you do that is you you precede what the end goal is, which is totally fine, but you get them to just think about it, right? It's like when they're thinking about your content through a different lens of like, okay, like I'm interested. I know this guy has something to sell. I know he has something to offer. Here's what it is. So let's let that simmer while I go through the rest
mm,
of the content so I can see through the lens of, you know, if his mechanism or methodology makes sense to achieve that end result. And so it increases conversions by probably 2 to 3x every single time, every single time. And so that's one like small change that anybody can make.
I love that. So like the takeaway here, guys, if on your confirmation page you aren't logically seeding, like, hey, look, if you want some help with this, you can schedule a time. I like the way he phrased it. I'm going to be, making a special offer for 2 people or a limited number of people. If you want to schedule now, you can schedule, or I'll see you on the webinar and we can schedule after. And then when you show up live, a lot of us have the tendency to teach, 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 and then like a little fractional moment at the very end. Hey, if you want some help with this, schedule a time. The most eyeballs and attention is in the first 5 minutes of your presentation or your webinar or your workshop. Let them know right then, here's what I'm going to be doing. And if you'd like to schedule, let's do that now. Otherwise, we're going to get into content. Powerful share, Joel. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll elaborate on that a little bit because I've taken it a step further. What I will do with my own audience is I run monthly paid workshops for about $100, and
Okay.
anytime that I'm looking to work with, coaching students or private clients, like if I have an end goal at the end of that workshop to ascend them, I make them the offer immediately after they register. So let's say this paid workshop doesn't go live for another 2 weeks and I start promoting it 2 weeks in advance. I'll get registrations every day for 2 weeks, and they are seeing that initial offer immediately after they register. And so what I will do is I will collect a deposit on that thank you page. I make the full pitch. If it's a $5,000
Mm,
pitch, if it's a $20,000 pitch, if it's a $100,000 pitch, I make the full pitch. And I'll say, we're going to talk about all this stuff on the paid workshop. Like, I don't want you to worry. We'll cover all of it. But if you want help implementing, here's what I want you to do. Put down a $100 deposit. I usually give them some sort of incentive, and that incentive will be like a discount or whatever. Put down a $100 deposit, just for saying maybe. And then show up, watch the content. If this content makes sense and you trust me and you trust my process, my methodology, which is what we will be going over, and you want to continue, then I'll apply that deposit towards whatever that back end offer is. And so it's the same thing, just in a little bit of a different spin. I have an audience. I have influence with them. So I can get 2, 3, 400 people to pay me for $100 workshop. So that works for me. But it's the same principles of I pitch them directly after they register for that paid workshop. And then I pitch at the very beginning as well. And I pitch at the very end. And that gives me a 30 to 50% conversion rate on any back end offer
Wow.
that I put up. So
Phenomenal. Great share.
yeah, it's and what it really does is it helps those who are non-salesy to forget about that stuff. Like
Not stress out, like you're building up all this pressure for yourself at the end.
Yeah,
You know,
I
kind of
mean,
you get that off the table early, relieves
there's
the pressure.
nothing worse. There's nothing worse than prepping weeks for a webinar and a workshop and showing up live and delivering your best stuff and for nothing to happen at the end. Like it's so deflating and so exhausting. It's like just be you. Like if I'm talking to somebody who's really non-salesy and they're trying to follow some sort of, training framework and they're like, I've got this piece of content that needs to go here, then I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. I will tell them to throw all of that out the window. And I say, here's the only thing that I want you to do. Pick your topic that you are passionate about, right? That you can teach without you needing to prep. So that's what you're going to teach. And then when we present, you're going to pitch on the thank you page. You're going to pitch immediately in the beginning, and you're going to pitch again at the end. That's all I want you to focus on. And the pitch is not like a big, long, drawn out thing. It's like, hey,
Yeah, with the value stack and like
correct.
all
It's
that
like,
stuff, right?
if you're interested, just let me know. I've got X number of spots available. Ping me or book a call here, and I'm happy to chat. And then I go in and teach, and then I do it again at the end. And it's like, if you follow that framework, like it's, I'm sure you can optimize it to the moon and optimize everything to perfection. But for the people who are not webinar experts, like do that and you'll see great results. Almost guaranteed.
So good. Great share. Any tips on promotion for show up, right? Like we're talking about the average chiropractic, agency trying to get chiropractors to come attend. Any secret sauce on how you're promoting that and getting people to show up?
There's a couple of things that work, and it's all kind of like market specific. The best way to get them to show up is to pay, right? Get them to pay $100, $50 a ticket or $100 a ticket. When somebody pays, those who pay attention. I know it's kind of like this overused statement, but it's 100% true. Those who pay attention. It tells you that they're motivated. It tells you that they're seriously interested in what you have to talk about. And it might reduce the number it might hurt your ego a little bit because your number of registrations
don't look as good, right?
Numbers don't look as good, but what hurts your ego more? If you have 100 people that register and 5 show up, or if you have 10 people who pay you $100 and you get 90% of those people to show up, right? It's like, that's the best way to increase show up rate is by commitment. Now, really, I have not found like the other factors that drive show up rates are the topic. Like if it's a very new topic that they've never heard of before and it's got, compelling reasons for why they should pay attention, that's the number one factor that drives show up rate. Number 2, basic follow-up. Like some people want to put, thousands of text message reminders of whatnot. It's like, that's only going to drive you so far. But, the topic is what drives number 1. Reminders is what drives number 2 in terms of reasons why they show up. But most importantly, if you get them to pay, that'll drastically increase your show up rate. But there's no other magic that I found besides that to incentivize them to show up. Giving away freebies, baiting them to show up. Like, okay, that could probably help a little bit, but overall, it's the topic that drives interest and engagement. And if it's really interesting and really new, then get them to put down some sort of payment to show up live.
And that's counterintuitive, but also when you think about it, your customer, your agency customers are so jaded by free webinars and by free content. It's like, yeah, you and everybody else wants me to come spend an hour of my time to sit
Exactly.
on this thing. Where when you put a price tag on it, it kind of changes the thought pattern a little bit. It also kind of changes the expectation. This isn't just going to be a sales pitch with some basic, knowledge, but it may be better, right? It may give me something specific and actionable.
Yeah.
So worth testing,
I
for
would,
sure.
so I would back that 100%. Exactly what you just said. Meaning, if you charge for it, teach something truly valuable that they can take
Hmm.
away. And don't overthink the structure of your workshop. Meaning, like my kind of like mission in this world right now is kind of I really want people to ditch like, how do I deliver a workshop? It's like, man, you've got so much content, like you have so many ideas and so much expertise, like I just want you to teach it. Like,
Mm.
teach it how you feel would be best and most impactful for your clients. And if you can do that, then I can show you how to convert, right? Because what won't help you convert is you stand up with stiff presentation skills because you feel like you're bound by some sort of canned structure that's designed to plant the seed, motivate them, press on their pains, and like all of these NLP tricks that they do work. Like, you'll look at some of the best presenters in the marketplace, but they have years of trial and error and practice. There are ways to get it, to crush it out of the park with conversions for those of you who just like to teach and want to teach, and you have expertise, and it's a matter of just placing conversion triggers in the right place. And that's really it. So like, my mission is to help dispel this myth of like, you don't need that perfect presentation, that perfect style to get conversions if you just accurately place, opportunities to convert throughout your presentation.
So good. So show up, add value, consider asking them to pay a nominal fee, right? Because what they pay for, they pay attention to, and they'll probably show up for.
Mm-hmm.
That'll also differentiate the way you look in the marketplace, at least in the immediate term, right? Because everyone else is doing free and it's just going to white noise.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that when they register, you let them know what they're possibly going to like see as the next step and see that
Yes.
right after the fact. And then make the offer right at the intro, maybe somewhere in the middle, and of course at the end. That way you're catching people that are ready to rock and roll without thinking they're going to sit through your 45-minute to an hour long presentation. The last question I have on webinars, I know you could probably do a full day workshop on this, but where do you feel case studies, client success stories fit into the arc of your typical workshop presentation?
Yes, they definitely have a place, right? Um, Case studies, um, where I like to place them is all throughout, right? Case studies, they're one of those things that really help your leads and your prospective clients see what's possible. And um, I will share. I'll say this, right? They certainly help, but they're not necessary,
Mm.
because in a jaded market, case studies can actually hurt you, right? In the
Oh.
internet marketing space, where everybody is touting tens of millions of dollars, and we have data to prove this. People just, they don't even look at it. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't even register, because it's almost like if they see those numbers, they're turned off by it. And so that's not the case for every industry, though. So I want to be very clear about that. So if you are going to use case studies, I like to sprinkle them really throughout. I don't like to hammer them all in one specific spot. I'll throw one or two in the beginning. I'll throw one or two in the middle. I'll throw, one or two at the end. And um, I will usually pick like one home run story that I can kind of seed throughout the entire presentation. It's like, hey, remember when I talked
Mm.
about, my client Jason the other day, where, we were struggling with A, B, and C, and he got these results. Well, I didn't tell you, like, one of the main stories about that was we were able to overcome this particular problem, and yada yada yada. So I like to seed one case study
Mm.
and bring them up two, three, four times with different angles of how we were able to help them overcome. So all throughout. everywhere is where I would seed it. Because when someone sees a case study, they also get into the expectation. They're like, oh, okay, like, hey, I can work with this guy or gal. It's like, oh, there's an opportunity, right? So case studies do that, and they do that naturally.
Love that. So use them sparingly, right? Don't feel
Hmm.
like it's the silver bullet that makes somebody buy, depending upon the market, right? Because if you've got these high, like, oh, this client generated 752 leads, average cost per lead of, $2. The average customer in there, if like that doesn't resonate with them or doesn't match with what they think is real, they'll be turned off by it, as opposed to thinking, wow, this is amazing. And better to have one central case study that kind of carries the narrative of what you're trying to share in the training than to try and do a bunch of them and overwhelm the person that's just trying to gather the information and the knowledge that you have to share.
Yeah, case studies also need to be very targeted at where your ideal client is right now. Like
Mm.
making them too big of a result, they're not going to see that it's possible for them, or they'll have improper expectations. So, you know, I would say case studies are very tricky. They're very tricky because um, you risk turning some people off. You
Mm.
can inspire others, but there is still an existing risk of turning other people off. Like you put too many out there, and it's like, okay, we get it. It's like, okay, it's finding a right balance, and you know, it can be a challenge. But I like to spread them throughout, and just be very, very specific with the ones that I use.
So good. Well, Joel, this has been awesome. We got like really two massive value drops here, right? The first around how to use AI to create your swipe file to automate the way you create ads that are going to be quicker, easier to test, make you stand out using GetInspired.app. Be sure to go at least check it out, right? At least check this software out and check it out. And we also got some amazing insights based on your decades of experience running webinars with some of the top webinar experts in the industry. Thanks so much for sharing that. If people want to learn more about you, connect with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, best way is just to head to joelerway.com. I've got two podcasts that I run there. So there's all sorts of free content and resources that they can check out. So I'd say just go to joelerway.com. That's the best spot.
So good. Joel, anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
This is great, man. No, I think I'm good. It was a really exciting and engaging conversation. I appreciate you asking fantastic questions. It always gets my brain digging, and that's what a great host does. It's like extract the knowledge and get them really thinking about um, what to reveal. And so I'm good. It was a really, really great conversation. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, Joel, thanks for being here. One last question as we wrap up today's podcast interview. I know you run a webinar agency, which is different than our typical listener. But if you had one piece of wisdom for that agency owner that's trying to get to the next level, whether that's to get to seven figures or multiple seven figures, what would that be in your mind?
Man, systemize, systemize, systemize.
Mm.
So I learned this the hard way, where I thought I was building a system by being the webinar guy. And I was woefully mistaken. So, was I focusing on one delivery mechanism? Absolutely.
Mm.
Webinars. But what I didn't do was I didn't niche down within webinars. So, like writing
Mm.
a webinar for somebody in personal development is drastically different and infinitely more difficult than, say, focusing on the business opportunity niche, where the only thing that I'm really changing there is the offer and relevant stories. Because once you find a webinar that converts to a specific audience, you've kind of cracked the code where like 90% of the work is already done. And I didn't do that for way too long. I'm talking like years and years and years and years. It wasn't until like recently, or past 2 years, where if I take on webinar clients, it's like in very specific niches where we can get them live very, very quickly. And I have a very high confidence level that as long as we can get traffic to it, it'll convert. So if you are in an agency, the best thing that you can do is systemize your niche system, which will lead to systemizing your processes, which should lead to systemizing your results. Where I stopped at the first one, it's like, okay, I'm the webinar guy. I think that's niche enough, and I was um, It was a very expensive and painful lesson to learn. So niching, so you can build systems is what I would recommend for any agency owner who wants sanity and predictability in their life.
Such a good share. So, guys, within your niche, you want to systematize the niche, but you also want to systematize the deliverable so that it's like in your space, you can do the same thing again and again, improve it, iterate it without having to reinvent the wheel. And so you could be in a niche or in a very specific service vertical, but if you have to reinvent the wheel every time, you haven't systematized to the level that Joel's talking about here. So I think that's a great takeaway, a great way to wrap us up. Again, go check out Inspired at GetInspired.app. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And Joel, thanks so much for being on. Thanks for watching. If you have follow-up thoughts or questions, post those in the comments wherever you happen to be watching this. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you again real soon. Thanks, everybody.